We're going to get started, guys. I am in Rome, and I'm sorry it's a little bit later than usual, but I wanted to say hi to everyone. I'm actually in my room. I have meetings all day tomorrow starting at 7 a.m. and going through the weekend. And then we'll be leaving for LA and Seattle, and then Las Vegas, and then Palm Springs to work on different formulas, as well as different things that we're doing with Root and launching the clothing brand, as well as all the different things that we're doing together. But today we're going to talk about COVID. We're going to talk about COVID and long COVID and the pandemic and all the different things that we've gone through. I can tell you guys, I'm going to start with the medical disclaimer, and then I'm going to jump right into my understanding and my knowledge of this particular virus, as well as other viruses, and then my thought process behind it. I don't want to start today without mentioning that I do understand what's going on in both Ukraine and Russia, and then Palestine and Israel, and what everyone's dealing with. And because I've worked in both Ukraine and Russia, and I've also worked all over the Middle East and Israel and all over the world, obviously it's a major concern of mine, as well as the rest of the Root community. And I've had a lot of you guys reaching out to me today, making sure that my travel is safe and what I am doing is safe. And I'll say this, we do the best at this community to follow as many guidelines as possible, understanding that our world is not just the United States, but it's international. And we do a lot of things all over the world. And my career outside of Root and outside of DRC Ventures has been predominantly in Asia, the Middle East, and Europe and Eastern Europe, as well as Africa and all over the world. So for me, I was in Lebanon and Syria during the war, and I've been all over during major crisis, but I appreciate everyone worrying about me as well as the companies. We're going to continue to do our best to facilitate growth for healthcare all over the world, regardless of religions, regardless of political views. We're going to try to support as many things as possible from a health and wellness perspective, always understanding that we are here to do the right thing and to stand for good and light and not dark or evil. And so I wanted to start by saying that, because I know there's some horrific things happening. And I've been contacted not just by the Root community, but by people all over the world that I've worked with, vocalizing their concern as well as their thoughts to me on how I could possibly help in different situations. So I wanted everyone to understand I am well aware of that, and just thankful that I am from the United States and that I am from the Root community more than anything, and that we're working together towards, again, overall better healthcare, which includes political, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and every aspect of our lives, because that's really, really important. So let's start with the medical disclaimer. After I said that, the information is for educational purposes and not intended for medical advice or a substitute for medical advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare professionals. You should not use this information for diagnosis of a health or fitness problem or a disease. You should always consult with a doctor or other healthcare professionals for medical advice or information about diagnosis and treatment. And I want to say this, I'm getting all kinds of messages where people are asking me questions, whether it's from a health authority in a country or the FDA in a country or the government or an individual just wanting to ask a question. And I do the best of my ability to answer those as thoroughly as possible. That being said, you still have to go back to your doctor if there's certain questions. We are not allowed to give medical advice. We are a company. So as I can consult, I also have to make sure that I'm following the guidelines of the country so we can continue to do business everywhere. I say this constantly. Our economic platform with the fintech and circular economy system that's been developed by Clayton and by this team is as important almost as our health and wellness perspective, because in order for us to live and have health care, we also have to have economically the ability to do that. So that's a major concern of mine and ours at the Root community. And it's also a concern that we never claim to cure anything. I heard someone say that we reverse autism. No one reverses anything. I heard someone say that we get rid of global warming. We don't get rid of anything. What we do is we assist people, animals, and the planet to get rid or cleanse itself, is the better word to say, of things that shouldn't be there, like heavy metals, toxins, pollutions, war, nuclear war, different things that should not be in our environment that impact our land, air, and water and us. That's what we do, and that's our goal and mission of this company. We can't make claims that we fix everything, but we do talk about how we can assist the body in helping with major things like COVID-19. So let's talk about COVID-19 today, because I know that all over the world, there's a lot of issues that people are talking about as it pertains to SARS or COVID-2. I've said this before. COVID came about in the 1600s, and it means the crown. And it's been a virus that's been out there for years, just like hand, mouth, and foot disease has been out there for years, or smallpox, or chickenpox, or lots of different things, right? But most people infected with this virus experience only mild to moderate symptoms. However, there's other people that their immune response is different. So viruses come in and they really try to attach to an immune system or a body, because you're the host, right? That's really important for you guys to remember. So the goal is to come in, attach to the body, and kind of take over the body. It's like the virus wants to live and the virus wants to thrive. And in order to do that, it has to take over what you have. So let's talk about the symptoms that happen with COVID. How do you recognize you have COVID? There's a lot of symptoms. Some people have issues with sleeping. Some people have issues with body aches all over their body. The respiratory issues are a major concern. Your sinuses, your throat, your lungs, all of that is connected. But if you really look into COVID-19 symptoms and what's happening inside the body, it's attaching and attacking different areas of the body so it can take over, right? So the natural response is to give the body barriers so that it can't keep going in and attacking, or to clean the body so you're continuously ripping things apart and trying to help the body. So the symptoms for me don't matter, because the symptoms are different in everyone. Like, I'll give you an example. Some people can't sleep when they have COVID. Some people can't eat. Some people's throat or nose hurts. Some people are just have diarrhea or vomiting. Everyone's different. So we can go on to risk factors. We don't need to keep talking about the symptoms, because the symptoms vary. The risk factors are very different. And this is complicated for me, because when I worked with COVID, or I worked with different viruses, and I did different research, we would look at basically what are the risks and then how we should treat. We always knew the risk had to do with older age or other autoimmune disorders, or the fact that there were lung conditions, including asthma, because COVID will attach the mucous membranes, right? So we understood that. We also understood cancer and blood pressure and kidney disease. Any kind of organ disease was very important, because COVID, again, would find a weak link and attach to that. So a lot of people that you saw when this first came out that had issues surrounding this had cardiovascular disease, or they had diabetes, or they were overweight, or they had problems with asthma or breathing. Those were already prevalent. And then when COVID came in, while a normal person's immune system can fight that, a lot of people that had these other things going on in their bodies couldn't. And that was a problem, right? That's always been an issue. So there's been many people discuss really what has to do with what's called Pro-BNP. And what that means is it looks at patients that have been hospitalized for various diseases and what has occurred during the hospitalization and what is a result of that. And Pro-BNP, for me, I'm looking at this slide, it doesn't give a good definition in my opinion. It's really pointing out to what is going on as far as cardioprotective behavior, and how is the blood pressure, how is the heart reacting. If you really diagnose what the word means, you're looking at what are the pro-inflammatory factors and what are the factors that can treat that, because you're looking at overall what is happening in the body and what can we do to lower that. And I'm going to go back to HIV and Hep C. When I worked for Bristol Myers Squibb, we were looking at these pro-inflammatory factors with the virus. And what we really had to look at is, how do we reduce the virus? How do we create these blockades? And how do we assist the body so it's functioning in a more productive way? That's the thing with COVID. You've really got to support the body. So you lower the inflammation, you try to rip apart the virus, and you support the body, because you really can beat things like COVID or hand, mouth, and foot disease or smallpox, chickenpox. There's a lot of things our bodies can beat, but we first have to really pay attention to what's going on. And one of the major issues with COVID, as well as other viruses, is it will attack the heart. It will cause issues. So it's really important that we give protective things that will help the body during this, which is why I believe the root products, without claiming we cure anything, without saying we're going to solve anything, we're there to, again, protect against inflammation. The mission of those products are to protect against inflammatory markers, to really reduce the inflammatory markers, and really to help the body thrive during a time that's under attack. I watched the shows Yellowstone in 1883 and 1923 and all the series that we have in the United States, and it's all about attacking people. During COVID, the virus is attacking you. And again, the goal of supplements or pharmaceuticals really should be to get rid of that inflammation and that attack from the virus, lower what's going on in the body as far as the attack of the virus, raise awareness of the immune system and support, and then you can support the overall body. So let's talk a little bit today about what we've been able to do at this company and what I've been able to develop so that we can really help with COVID. So post-COVID, there's a lot of symptoms right now. There's a lot of shortness of breath. There's a lot of cardiovascular issues. There's a lot of loss of hair. There's issues with the skin and the nails, memory, a lot of different things. And that's a problem. I hate using the word COVID, and I'll be honest with you guys. Lots of viruses mutate. Lots of viruses have occurred in our world, and the catchphrase, in my opinion, right now is COVID. And you have to be really careful because COVID is just a virus. Yes, it's a serious virus, and it does have post-COVID symptoms, but every virus has that. So, for example, if you have hand, neck, and throat disease, or hand, foot, and throat disease, there's 17 factors with that. If you have any of those disorders, they're attacking different parts of your body, but at the same time, they have the ability to also have residual effects. And that's the same with COVID. It's a virus that's attacking that can have these residual effects that are called inflammatory markers. And if you look at this slide, it's attacking various areas of the body, from the head to the neck, to the throat, to the stomach, and actually systemically throughout the body. So again, what you have to do is bring in these barriers of support to really assist the body in what you're doing with that. So the next slide talks about the protocol. So we have a protocol for COVID, and I just want to say this before we talk exactly about this protocol. My protocol for COVID is not this exact protocol, and I'll explain why. We have taken case studies from all over the world, and we've tried to put a protocol together that will help doctors and help patients throughout the world. However, when people ask me if the protocols at the company are mine, my answer is no. It's a combination of doctors that have consulted throughout 76 countries that have come up with a protocol. But for me, this particular protocol is not the exact answer, because everybody's DNA, everybody's genetics, everybody's epigenetics, they're all different. So I feel like when you talk about a protocol for autism, or you talk about a protocol for COVID, or a protocol for multiple sclerosis or heart disease, they are all different. I will tell you from my perspective, because I wanted to talk about COVID today, I wanted to discuss with you guys what different protocols are, and they're using proprietary blend 1 through 5, and some of them are using 1 through 7. And what that means is they're using Clean Slate, they're using Restore, Zero In, Natural Barrier Support, ReLive Greens, they're using Immune Defense Shield, they're using Give Me Back My Youth, all of them, right? And they'll end up using Clean Spirits in that line and Skin Defense in that line. I'm bringing this up because to do a true COVID-19 post protocol or present protocol, every individual has to switch that up a bit. Some people can't take as much turmeric because they have a reaction or their medication has a reaction. So if they can't be on Restore and they can't be on Zero In, I encourage them to double the ReLive Greens and the immune defense support, because again, they're all different. And you have to pay attention to that, because I think that when I put out these protocols, or we do as a company, so again, this is going back to a protocol that we put on this page, and I want you guys to read it. I want you to understand it, but I want you to hear me from my perspective. When people say that they start with 1 drop of clean slate in the morning and then 1 drop at night, and then they go up to 2 drops in the morning, 2 at night, all the way up to 10 in the morning and 10 at night, I say that's great. But sometimes I take 50 drops, because I've had Lyme disease, I've had cancer, and for my particular situation, when I'm around all kinds of things while I travel all over the world, sometimes I need more than 10 drops in the morning and 10 drops at night. So for me, a COVID protocol, when I'm being attacked by any virus, whether it's COVID or another virus, I would take more than 10 drops in the morning and 10 drops at night, because I'm trying to get rid of things in my body so that I can clean my body and then support my body. Same thing with Restore. If I'm going through a virus or a disease, or I'm having issues, I typically take 1 Restore, but if I'm going through things, I'll take up to 3 Restore. And that's why in the COVID-19 protocol, it talks about different levels of Restore that different people take. This is a guideline so that you guys can read it, but some people may need more or less. For example, when some people are on warfarin, which is a blood thinner, then the turmeric curcumin makes it work even more. And sometimes spirulina can too. So you don't take as much of those products when you're on warfarin. However, if you're a person like me, again, that's gone through so many issues, whether it's Lyme disease or cancer, I take more of the products when I get sick. And if I have a reaction to the products, I even take more. But those of you that are allergic, for example, to turmeric curcumin, and you have a reaction, you shouldn't take more, because that means your body has a reaction to that particular enzyme and isolate. What you can do, though, is take immune defense shield, more of that, because that's supporting the telomeres and the mitochondria and everything else in the body. And you can take more, for example, the ReLive Greens or natural barrier support. And I'm saying this because you need to start thinking about this as an arsenal of a protocol that you develop for you or for yourself. I'm going to stop for 1 second. Patrick, people keep telling me they can't hear me. Is that completely true?
I can hear you fine.
That's what I can too. I'm getting WhatsApps while we're on the phone. Okay. Guys, I'm going to keep talking. If you can't hear me, that means you're probably in a bad place, because everyone else can. So anyway, when I look at this protocol, you're going back again, you're going over protocol, or you're looking at proprietary blend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I just gave you guys 7. And the reason I gave you 7 things is because I'm going to go back again to this, and I've already said this on this call. With HIV and Hep C and different other viruses I've worked on, you have to switch up the protocol, and you have to add different things, because different things are barriers. We called them cocktails when I worked at Bristol Myers Squibb. For you all, I'm going to call them barricades and barriers, and your arsenal of things to give yourself. You're going to continuously give yourself more products, or switch up the products depending on your DNA and depending on who you are and what you can and can't take. If you can't take turmeric curcumin, which is in Zero In, and it's in Restore, then you're going to take more of the different things like Clean Slate and Clean Spirits, ReLive Greens, Immune Defense Shield, and Immune Defense Shield, and Give Me Back My Youth. All of them. Like you're going to double down on those, because what you're trying to do is create these different walls so that the virus can't get in. As scientists, when we worked on vaccines, here's what we did. We worked on retroviruses, and those retroviruses were worked on so that you could give someone a semblance of a virus so the other virus couldn't get in. And I remember thinking, why wouldn't we just do something even better? Why wouldn't we give people different types of barriers and barricades so that the virus can't get in? And that's what we're doing at Root. We're working really, really hard to create these barriers and barricades so that a virus can't thrive, so it can't live, and so that it's not there all the time. So today we're going to talk about the solution, and that's the root products. The next slide talks about Clean Slate, Restore, Zero In, ReLive Greens, and Immune Defense Shield. You guys also heard me talk about natural barrier support and giving back my youth, as well as skin defense and environment, because all of those are important. Your skin is your largest organ. So when a virus approaches you, and we talk about this 6 feet pattern, right? I don't believe in that, by the way. I think viruses can sometimes go shorter and sometimes longer than 6 feet. It depends. It depends on a lot of things: the air quality, the land quality, the water quality, what's going on with the DNA and the people around you. It's more complicated than a 6 feet thing, but that's what is that's one of the things that we've dealt with during this. There's been a ignorance, is my opinion, on basically the solutions for what's going on. And for me, I think Root really launched during this period in such a major way because the world needed a solution. And the first thing that really came out was Clean Slate. COVID wasn't planned on February and for Root to launch during February. I never worked on any of these products while I was at the pharmaceutical biotech industry. I left that industry years ago. I did an emergency authorization during COVID that only lasted about 9 to 10 months, where I was working on the lungs, but I left in 2009 that industry. So I worked really hard to create these natural things that would help people, not knowing about COVID, but understanding that there were viruses that were worked on in a lab, that there were vaccines being worked on in a lab, and that we had to have solutions, whether a virus came out of a lab or mutated due to the heavy metals in our environment, the pollution, and the nuclear waste. Because I'm going to tell you guys this, which one's worse? The mutation of a virus due to our environment, which is so toxic, or something created in a lab. And I would argue with you, they're both horrible, right? So we knew these things were going to happen. And so, or I did as a scientist, I knew that things were going to happen. So Clean Slate was important because I wanted something that could really help the body try to get rid of the trash in the body. And it's that simple. It's really that simple. When you say, how complicated was it to make Clean Slate? Yes, the formulation was hard. I used polarizations, I used magnets, I used heating and cooling. I did different types of measurements and biochemistry, engineering formulations to make that product. No, that's why when people say, is there another competitor? I'm like, no, and I don't even worry about it. And someone said to me the other day, it concerns me that you're so ignorant about competition. And I said, I'm not ignorant. They're not competition. And that's because this product really was created with trying to. Patrick, do you have that?
Yeah, I'm trying to find them. I'm running the slide deck, so I can't see what I typically can.
Okay. You guys, again, I'm going to ask you to please mute if you can. So for me, the Clean Slate was something that was needed for the land, air, and water remediation of people, to get things out of our bodies that shouldn't have been there, that have been around for hundreds of years and gotten worse, a lot worse over the last 20 to 30 years. It's a buildup in our system that we've got to get rid of all the toxins that are inside. And then we've got to support what's in the body as well, which is why trace minerals and vitamins were added. It was made in a partially hydrolyzed formulation that was water soluble and utilized in a way to be electrolyzed and solutized. So it was made in a way to really go into the body and be bioavailable and efficacious and safe. A lot of people have been jealous about the formula. A lot of people have attacked the company because of the formula, because it's been able to help people all over the world. And I say this constantly, then people need to make another formula that they're proud of. But this, for us at Root, is something that's been able to help people all over the world because of how it assists the body. And someone asked me if it was an antiviral agent. And my comment to that is, Clean Slate is not a product I claim to cure anything, but it is a product that I claim is there to really break apart different things in the body. It has the mission of breaking apart viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungus. That was the mission of this product, as well as heavy metals, pollution, 5G, and nuclear waste. Why? It was a formulation to go in and really clean out the canals and everything going on in the body. It's been extremely essential to people all over the world because of how it's helped. And if you ask, what are the benefits of this particular product? I think there's more benefits than we could ever explain. It does possess the ability, if it wants to, in different people's bodies, to be antibacterial and antiviral and antifungal and antiparasitic. What does that mean? That means if the body has the right equilibrium, if the body is being attended to, this product has the ability to do everything from cleaning it out to supporting getting rid of those things in the body that should never have been there in the process. And when that happens, it stops the inflammatory cascade. And the inflammatory cascade is what causes autoimmune disorders. So this is a major breakthrough in science, in my opinion. I can't even begin to tell you how important it was for me as a mother and a scientist and a formulator and an artist to create something that could really help people all over the world. It was extremely inherent to me that we had to have something that could benefit people because they were going through so much in their lives. It does help support the nutrients in the body, because I don't know if you guys know this, heavy metals will block the different transmitters and pathways. So you can't get nutrients and minerals if you have these heavy metals in your body. So unlocking that and ripping that apart and opening that lets the nutrients and minerals in. That's why when people are on different products and then they try Clean Slate, it helps them so much more. They just have to get through that period where they're really detoxing the heavy metals out of their body. That's what's so important. The next product we're going to talk about is Restore. I just took a Restore a second ago because I'm really tired. I've been traveling and I have gone from a lot of different time zones back and forth and then got back on a plane again. And all of us go under stress, though. I'll say this, whether I'm traveling or at home, my life has stress. For you guys, it's the same way. All of us have, not easy lives. We all undergo different things. And Restore is really important because one of my things has always been to support antioxidant effects and to reduce inflammation, understanding that if we can do that, we can support the immune system. But this particular product is chock full of turmeric, curcumin, aloe vera, resveratrol, black cumin seed, and I can go on and on. It's full of different things that really help the body in different fights that it has. You have to have the ammunition you need to fight things like COVID-19 or to fight any virus. And I go back to this, and I'm going to say it again. COVID-19 is not the biggest concern in my life. It's the fact that people need to take care of themselves. That's my concern. Because if you can take care of your body and take care of yourself, you can fight things, whether it is COVID-19 or HIV or Hep C or another virus that comes into play. It helps your body fight it. It doesn't mean you won't get it. It means it can support the body's natural ability to really fight things. The benefit of Restore is a lot. If you look at this next slide that talks about the benefits, it goes over the fact that it really can support the mold, fungus, and parasites. I went to India, and when I was in India, there was mold everywhere in the hotel. I could smell it. I could feel it. Great hotel. You could just tell it was in there. Sometimes when I go to Key West or I go to Seaside or I go to different places, the same thing. Your body cannot handle that mold and fungus. It's not good for the lungs. It will cause viruses to grow and bacteria to grow and parasites. So putting something in my body that has these effects to get rid of these things, like Restore, is extremely important to me. And it restores the microbiome. It helps the stomach. It helps the brain. It helps it helps your heart. It helps all the different areas that really need to be affected and need to be protected during this time. It also strengthens and protects the different areas of your body. And again, I want to go back to this. It's important to be strong when you're fighting a virus. It's important to be strong when you're fighting bacteria or fungus or parasites. We are always under attack. People worry about war, and they should. It's horrible, but you also need to worry about the war in your body. And inside the body, there's things going on that you have to support so that it can't be attacked and that it can't be destroyed. Your cells are important, your lungs are important, your brain and the way you think and what you do is important. So you have to support it with things like Clean Slate and Restore. And the benefits are pretty clear because they're really helping stop that inflammation and then restore the oxidants in the body so that the body's working correctly while they're protecting against different things. The next thing I'm going to talk about is Zero N. Zero N is another important component to fighting things like COVID-19 or any virus because your neurotransmitters have to be supported. And this is important because of the amino acids. They're building blocks to the brain, but not only that, amino acids are building blocks to the heart and to the microbiome and to the cells in the body and even all the blood and all the different pathways in the body. They're extremely important. So your neurotransmitters are connecting, they're talking. When cancer cells talk, they grow. When healthy cells talk, they grow. So what you want to do is promote the healthy cells, cut down on the signaling of the sick cells, and really do this through neurotransmission. So Zero N is much more than a product that helps with cognitive functioning. It's much more than a product that helps clear away fog or helps the brain work better or helps you perform on a day-to-day basis as an athlete. It's something that really gives your immune system strength and helps in those different ways. So the benefits are huge. It boosts immune response. It combats fatigue, enhances sleep quality. And I'll say this, even though I don't think Zero N at night helps me, when I take it during the day, I do sleep better at night. I know a lot of people sleep better when they take it in the evening because their DNA and their pathways are really juggling that and making sure that it works appropriately. It also does restore the gut and the microbiome, as well as I don't have this on this slide. It can help with regeneration of the brain cells in different ways because of the way it is communicating through the neurotransmission, which is why I always recommend this particular product for Alzheimer's, autism, ALS, dementia, etc. We can't make claims it's curing it, but we're supporting the body in those areas. And when COVID hits, you need help in all those different areas. So Zero N is really an important factor to really help during these times that you're dealing with. Because I know COVID's outbreaking everywhere. I mean, I can tell you guys, I was outside today and Ted Baker was like, "You've got a rash all over you." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "When did that happen?" And I said, "A couple of weeks ago." And he said, "What happened?" I said, "Well, I was traveling from country to country and I think I got something and I haven't stopped. I mean, I'm still going and I haven't taken a break. So I think that my body is reacting." But I said, because of Skin Defense, because of ReLive Greens and Restore and Clean Slate, I've been able to keep functioning, even though this is happening. And he was like, "That's horrible. It looks so bad." And I said, "It's okay. I'm fine." And then I took another Restore. Clayton made me ReLive Greens before I left. I took a bunch of Clean Slate, but it takes these things to really support my body. And even then, guys, sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes you're tired. I had someone say to me yesterday, "You're just not on your game, like you're not focused." And my comment is, when you work 16, 18, 20 hours a day, sometimes you're not focused. Sometimes you're not on your game. I'm like you guys, I'm human, right? I'm not this picture on an Instagram or a TikTok. I'm actually a person that's working and I happen to be a scientist. So I'm telling you guys this from my heart. Things are going to go wrong, but these products are really there to help and they do help. There's no way I could have gone through cancer. There's no way I could have had Lyme disease and no way I could have gotten sick the way I've gotten sick and still been able to function if it wasn't for things like these products. So going on to ReLive Greens, ReLive Greens has a pre and probiotic, and I don't talk about that enough. It is there to collaborate with the immune system and to support the immune system. It has lots of types of macronutrients and greens. It has vitamins, minerals, amino acids, prebiotics, peptides, all kinds of things. It promotes gut health, supports the immune system, and does a lot of things. The benefits are huge. It can combat fatigue. It can even help with hair loss and help with different things like that, because ReLive Greens benefits are so many that I don't talk about it nearly enough. It really is something to put in your arsenal to help support the body. And a lot of you guys know that I've had a brain tumor and that I've had a spinal tumor and I've had Lyme disease and the cancer. This is one of my favorite products. I take 3 teaspoons a day. If I start feeling sick, I take up to 5 because of the long-term benefits of this product. We're going to move on to immune defense shield. Patrick already did the benefits of ReLive Greens. So we'll go on to immune defense shield. So this particular product is really there for the integrity of the DNA. And our DNA is so important. You know, we are traveling through life and we have these genetics. And if you unlock an epigenetic, there can be a major issue. And negative things can happen, but we all unlock epigenetics to some extent. Our DNA holds these keys and these doors. So some of us are predisposed to cancer. Some are predisposed to viruses. Some are predisposed to Alzheimer's, just anything, because it's in our DNA. And that means it's there, it's kind of dormant. But a environmental factor like a heavy metal or a virus can unlock it. In order to preserve the DNA, you've got to really protect the telomeres and the mitochondria and the battery source. And that's what immune defense shield does. That's why it's so important. And I think it's one of the least talked about products that we have. And I'm not sure why. I blame myself for that, because you really have to really support your body through the benefits of this product, because there's so many things that it does and that it can do. And there's so many things it can do to help people. So I talk about inflammation a lot. So there's positive and negative inflammation, because I don't know if you guys know this, when a trigger happens, inflammation occurs and it can actually protect your body. But if it keeps going on, it causes these long-term effects. And that's the problem. That's why you have your telomeres shortening. That's why you have your mitochondria, which is your battery source, not working. And if you can give it stuff like NAD and quercetin, especially something delivered that can work through a 2-year period, it's extremely important, because you're preserving the integrity of the cells and of the DNA. So these other outside factors don't happen. And sometimes there's studies that have showed that it can even reverse situations that have already happened. And that's why when people ask me about immune defense shield, again, I always say the same thing that you guys hear me say a million times and I drive you crazy. We don't claim to cure anything, but this is something that's really a priority that can help people all over the world. So we need to discuss this more and more and more. If you can support the mitochondria, if you can really support your DNA and support the telomeres of the body, you can live longer, feel better, be happier, and you can stop all the immune disorders you have. Because we cannot make that claim, instead what we need to tell people is this is something that is preserving these different things in your body. The mission of this product is to really help the overall body in those areas. So the next slides talk about the scientific studies, but I'm going to stop, Patrick, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the other products. We don't have the natural barrier support in here, and I just wanted you guys to know that the natural barrier support is extremely important during this time. Your colds, your viruses, bacteria, parasites, to give zinc and vitamin D3 and vitamin C, you just need to put it in your water. Add lime or lemon to it, eat something with it, but you've got to take that natural barrier support to really give your body this other booster that it really needs. And then the Give Me Back My Youth is really important for gut health and also for ligaments and muscles and the bones and the skin and the hair and the nails, because all of that goes cohesively together. And you don't really think about this, but like your eyes, they have muscles, right? They have ligaments throughout the body. You've got to support that. And that's why Give Me Back My Youth is so important. People think of it as an anti-aging regimen, but I'm going to tell you it's something that the body needs overall. So let's talk about the scientific studies now that we've talked about the other 2 products. And by the way, also the skin defense, which we've talked about a lot for the skin. Skin is your largest organ. So with the skin defense, you've got to make sure you're coating your skin with that. If you get a rash, like I had all over my stomach, this rash, and then on my chest, I just spray it today to get rid of it. And it did get rid of it in about 5 minutes. But when you have viruses and bacteria and parasites and fungus, a lot of times they present as a rash and they come out in the skin. just like psoriasis or just like dermatitis, and spraying stuff with skin defense will really help during things like that. And they'll help protect the skin against different things that could happen. Not claiming we can protect everything that goes on in your life, but trying to protect the skin against all these environmental factors. So this next slide talks about nutritional status of patients. It goes over vitamin B1, B6, B12, and vitamin D. And I want you guys to know this: in the ReLive Greens and Restore and in our other products, we do have all of these vitamins. And it's really important because we know that there's up to a 90% change in how things affect us depending on if we get these nutritional things in our body, especially as it relates to COVID-19, which is why your natural barrier support is so important, and your ReLive Greens and Restore. ReLive Greens is chock full of vitamin Bs, omegas, amino acids, and peptides. We just don't have it on the label. We do have that full panel. And if you guys want to see what's in there, we can send it. But I did want you guys to know that that particular formula with ReLive Greens, it's in the greens and it's in that bottle. And that's why I encourage people to take that on a daily basis. The next slide talks about the feasibility of vitamin C in the treatment of post-viral fatigue with long COVID. And I want to say this to you guys. So I talked to you guys about the fact that I went to India and Romania and Italy, and I had a rash, which is probably a virus, right? If you ask me what virus it is, I don't know 100%, but I know usually they present as like a sore throat or a stomach. Or stomach rash. COVID usually doesn't have a rash. I also know that I was able to treat myself, and I am treating myself with our products by supporting the immune system and really giving my body the vitamin C, the vitamin D, the zinc, the vitamin Bs I need through the Restore, through the ReLive, as well as cleaning the body out with the Clean Slate. The vitamin C systemic reviews are huge. I have read so many studies where they're giving 2,000 to 2,500 milligrams, right? They're giving all kinds of vitamin C to people. During COVID, they cut that in almost every country. But we do understand that vitamin C is particularly important in the aspect of treating COVID-19 as well as other viruses. So vitamin C, we do have in almost all of our products, actually, because if you look at ReLive Greens and Restore, if you look at Clean Slate and the natural barrier support, you see that it's chock full of vitamin C, either in the greens that's not on the label, or in the turmeric curcumin, or in the resveratrol, or all the other different things, or it's actually added to the particular formula. So I wanted to make sure that I brought that out because that's one of your main things that can really help during the treatment of what's going on. Vitamin C that I use in Clean Slate is extremely imperative. It was used in a formulation so that it would be bioavailable into the body and could be transmitted throughout the body. So it's a particularly different type of vitamin C, and I want to pay attention to that in particularly because of the fact that Clean Slate is such a dynamic product. And it's so important that people take that and they add that to their regimen when they're dealing with different things that occur in their life. Another thing that's really important is the turmeric curcumin. And I've talked about this a lot. You guys know it's in 0N. You guys know that it is in the Restore, and you know that it's a product for me that's extremely imperative to the success of what we do. Part of that is because I understand how from an immune response, it helps with viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungus. I also understand from a cognitive functioning response and from a healthcare response with everything from Alzheimer's to diabetes to obesity to dementia to autism. It's extremely important in the treatment. And a lot of times people will have a reaction at first and then they'll start getting better. Those of you that have a reaction that's severe, you need to consult with a doctor. If there's anything you're worried about as far as there's a huge rash, please consult, lower the dose, or don't take it until you've consulted with someone. I do want to talk about the fact that a lot of people that take 1,000 milligrams of turmeric or more, and sometimes people that take less, have a high propensity of really helping with certain viruses and bacteria, as well as autoimmune disorders and diseases and cancer. And that's because it doesn't address this much in this article, but it is because of the experience of really restoring the body and cutting off that signaling that should not happen. And I think that's extremely important for people to understand. And that's why we talk about this. We're not a pharmaceutical company. We're not someone that's saying we can cure cancer, we can cure diabetes, we can cure autism. Instead, we're saying we can assist people in their natural bodies by giving them natural supplements that are made in a way to protect and provide and to clean their bodies so that they're able to get better, so that they're able to live in a healthy and productive way. And that's extremely important. No one in the world can claim to cure cancer. And if someone tells you that, they're lying. No one in the world can claim to cure autism. What we can claim as scientists is we can help with different formulations that we have. And what you can claim as a root community is that you have products that help with a large variety of things throughout people's lives and bodies so that they can have the best quality and quantity of life possible, including helping their bodies fight things like COVID. It's okay to say, we can help people with viruses. We can help get rid of things so that the body does the miraculous thing that the body can do. And as a scientist, I've been criticized about that a little bit because scientifically, I focus on pharmacology. I focus on P450 pathways and cloning and stem cells and all these different things that have these huge words, right? But the truth is you can use natural things to really help people. And that's really where we focused with Root. And that's where I focus as a scientist, is giving natural things that really help to have the potential to help prevent and cure things, but I can't claim I cure them. I can just say they have the potential and a promising option. So let's go to the next slide to talk about black cumin seed and Nigella sativa seed, because that's something I've worked with for years of my life in the pharmaceutical and nutraceutical industry. And it does have a promising option for COVID-19 prevention and cure. And what I mean by that, it is helpful if you look at all the studies, and there's so many studies out there of how it directly and indirectly can impact the pathways and stop the transmission of COVID and help people get over it in a faster way. And that's why it's so important to me to bring this into fruition and to discuss this, because we have this in the Restore. We'd utilize this particular ingredient because we know how important it is. And I want to bring up to everyone in this customer group and in the Root Ambassador group that we really have tried to hit upon these things. And if you say to me, did you make this whole line of products for COVID and for different things? My answer is no. This whole line of products was made for people like you and for our environment and for everyone in the world so that we can help protect and provide for people. We are at a time of war in our world, whether it is economic or strategic or financially or governments or politics, but we are also at a time of restoration and regeneration. And Root's job is to bring hope and peace to the world and to bring promise through the products that we have. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the week. I am thinking of you and praying for everyone in this group and for our community while I'm here. And I'm just thankful that I'm part of this community. Thank you for your patience as I was trying to get my computer to work and get everything started. Again, it's a journey, guys. We've got a lot to do. A lot of you guys don't agree with every move I make. But I can tell you that the moves I'm making are for this community and for the greater good of this world. And that's why I do what I do. So I want us all to do it together. Have a fantastic evening, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Tiger.